the High Court there in KwaZulu-Natal expected to hear this urgent interdict brought by one of King Misuzulu kaZwelithini's wives. You may recall earlier this month there was an announcement made that the Zulu monarch would be marrying Queen Nomzamo Myeni this weekend, but the king's other wife is claiming that she wasn't consulted and cannot host a wedding while they are still in a civil marriage. Newzroom Afrika's Zianda is live there now with the breakdown of those developments. Zianda, good morning. Multiple issues, of course, facing the king this morning. And in our legal analysis from a little bit earlier on, if he does or considered going ahead, he would be at risk on at least two issues relating either to perjury or contempt of court if he goes ahead. So hopefully he's receiving counsel which briefs him of all of the risks to his decision-making and his behavior over the next couple of days. So just bring us up to speed with that and exactly what we're expecting to unfold in court this morning.
Well, Iman, what we're expecting to hear is an argument from the king's lawyers that say, well, in fact, he has been in seclusion from late December all the way up until the 15th of January. So there is absolutely no way he could have actually made an announcement of a wedding to Queen Nomzamo Myeni. In fact, he is seemingly saying that his former spokesperson, whom he fired at the weekend, went ahead and did so without his, co-signing. And there's also another argument that's expected to be made about it, perhaps what stage in his wedding process he is in. In those papers, he's also expected to argue, in court rather, he's expected to argue that, the urgent application also fails to include Nomzamo Myeni as a part of these court proceedings, as she would be directly affected by whatever the court pronounces upon. So is there a wedding? Is there no wedding? Let's bring in Mpumelelo Zikalala to talk more about this issue, Mpumelelo, because it would seem that the king is going to rely a lot on the fact that he was in seclusion, that the basis upon which this urgent application is placed is on an announcement that was made through a Facebook Live by his now former spokesperson, Simphiwe Zulu.
I think that's going to be very important, because then going to come back and say, I'm not the one that is announced. Nonetheless, as I've stated earlier, there are many other instances of many things which are missing in this matter. The first one of that of a non-joiner that says you have a person that has a vested interest in the outcome of this matter that ought to have been served with papers when given an opportunity to respond. It may be that they not that material interest. However, we are also interdicting her from continuing with all the processes. She has made plans. There are financial implications if there is an announcement of a certain wedding or event. So that person should have been here in order to make sure that they're able to give their views and their submissions to the court.
When we spoke yesterday and this morning in relation to the divorce, because it would seem that the divorce proceedings that the king instituted against this particular wife are directly linked to what we are going to hear today. And in those papers, we see that the king describes an irretrievable breakdown in relations between himself and this particular wife. And you said, well, the court could say matters of the heart don't belong in the court. So what does this mean then for the ability of this particular queen to argue against interdicting this matter when there are divorce proceedings that still need to take place?
Well, it's going to boil down to say, what exactly are we protecting? What interest are we protecting? And what rights are we protecting? Remember, one of the elements of agency is that there must be a prima facie right that you must seek to protect. And it's important to check what exactly are we protecting. It seems as if you mince down the issues, is that of matrimonial property and nothing else. Now, you have to go back and check, is there another avenue in which you can be able to deal with those matrimonial properties? The answer is yes. The Divorce Act takes care of that. Matrimonial Property Act takes care of that. So why come to court on an urgent basis in order to deal with it? It may have the results of saying, yes, I see that you've made out a case for agency, I'm granting you that interdict. Or the other one would say, I'm striking your matter off the roll, go and prepare your papers in terms of defending that particular matrimonial property and allow for the appropriate avenue to deal whatever dispute that you may have. But don't come to court and jumping all the steps, because unfortunately you have not made out a case for agency.
We'll have to see what the court has to say about this. Of course, we know that those two wedding ceremonies, Iman, were scheduled to take place on the 24th of January, this Friday, at the home of Nomzamo Myeni, and then on Sunday, the final umgcagco taking place at the Kwakhangela Mankengana Royal Palace. It's yet to be seen, given how there were so many meetings held over the weekend involving even the royal family, whether or not the king will forge ahead with these two ceremonies.
Ziyanda, fascinating, and of course parallel to that is what's happening within the Zulu nation. As head of the Zulu nation, his leadership becomes something that becomes questioned, and questions are being asked about whether the Zulu kingdom is in crisis over these personal travails that the king is undergoing. We'll have more analysis on that a little bit later on. Ziyanda Ngoba there live for us from the Pietermaritzburg High Court.